Okay, so the first problems were from the very beginning. And so what do I do with the negative 2? Put it in for x, right? So do I keep the x when I put the negative 2 in? No, it replaces it. So this is negative 2 squared plus 10. Negative 2 squared is 4 plus 10 is 14. So where does the h of negative 3 go? In the h. So we have negative 8 times negative 3 minus 5. So I get positive 24 minus 5 is 19. Now the next one's 3, 4, and 5. Do they have numbers for x? They don't. So that means you're going to have an x in your answer. So the first one, what am I going to do? I'm just adding the f and the h. And you add together like terms. So I get x squared plus 10 minus 8x minus 5. And what would I have done with that minus 8x and the minus 5 if it would have been subtraction? I would have had to change the signs, right? But on addition, you don't change any signs. You just add them as they are. So do I have any other x squareds here? No. How about x's? Just the minus 8x, and then 10 minus 5 gives me plus 5. It is easy peasy. Number 4, g minus h. So this is what I was just saying. If you're subtracting, what do I have to do with the signs over here? I have to change them. So I'm going to take this g, 2x plus 10, and if I subtract, that means you change both signs inside. So I'm going to have 2x plus 10 plus 8x plus 5. I'm going to combine these and then combine these. So what about the last one? I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to multiply g times h. So I'm going to have 2x plus 10 times minus 8x minus 5. So you take the 2x times both things. So I'm going to have minus 16x squared minus 10x. And then multiply the 10 times both things. 10 times minus 8x is minus 80x minus 50. And then we're going to combine like terms. So minus 16x squared minus 90x minus 50. Okay, so nobody should miss these. These are the gimme points, right? Everybody should get this right. But I think the next ones are pretty easy too. It says find f of g of 3. So first of all, you do g of 3. What is g of 3? So you get 9 minus 4, which is 5. And then what do I do with the 5? You have to go to f next. So I'm going to put it in my f. So I get 15. Okay, so you all work the next one. So what's different on, oh wait, did you do 7 or 8? Did you do 7? Okay. You did both of them? You did 8? What do we get for number 7? F of negative 4. All right, let's do 8. So what's different between 6 and 8, guys? So there's no number here, right? So we're going to have an x in our answer. So if we're going to have an x in our answer, Naya, I'm going to take this g of x, and I'm going to put it in here for x. Get off that phone, or I'm going to take it and give it to your mom. So I'm going to take that whole thing and plop it down for x. I'm going to distribute. So I got 6x minus 3. Yes? Is everybody okay on these now? Okay, good. Okay, I guess you don't have 7 and 9. So when it says to write the inverse, now what do I have to inverse? Switch the x and the y, and then what do I solve for? Y. Everybody try that. So put parentheses around the g of x, this whole thing. And then the f is on the outside. So you take this and you plug it in where the x is, the whole thing. So this whole thing goes right there.
Oh, okay.
I saw that. Okay, so how many of you got this? Because you are rock stars. Okay, so for those when we were typing this in on the tablet, and we kept getting the wrong answer, and I couldn't understand why it was getting the wrong answer. So what's another way I could write this? I could do 1/3 x, right? And that's how she had the answer. Is this incorrect? No. And this is the way, if you take any more math classes, this is the way you're going to write it. Okay? Because this isn't backwards. This is the right way to write it. Oh, well, that doesn't matter. That won't matter. Okay, number 11. If I flip the x and the y. So what's different from the last one that I just worked in this one? It's a fraction. You guys hate fractions, right? So let's get rid of it. Since we hate it, get rid of it. What's the denominator of the fraction? So multiply both sides by 2. So I get y plus 8. Now there's no more fractions. Now you don't have to whine about this. Subtract the 8. Okay, for the next one, let's flip the x and the y. So I've got the x by itself. I need to solve for the y. So how do I get rid of the square root? We have to square both sides, right? Because they're inverse operations. So if I square this side and square this side, so here's where you all get stuck, because it's got the plus and the minus there. It does, because what's a positive times a positive? And what's a negative times a negative? So they both go away. So the signs go away, and it's left with what's underneath the square root. And now how do I solve for y? Just subtract the 4. And if I get x squared minus 4, it's a perfect square. How do I factor that? You don't have to, but how would you factor it? X plus 2 and x minus 2. Okay, so this one, when I change it, I want to solve for the y. I'm going to subtract 3. What do I do next? Do what? Not yet. So we're going to divide by the 2 because we can't square root until we get the y by itself. So divide by 2. And the reason you want to do that, you don't know what the square root of 2 is, right? It's not a perfect square. If it was a 4 and we took the square root, then that's 2, and that would be okay. But we don't know it, so we're going to divide first. So then I have this. And now you can take the square root. And when I take the square root, what do I have to put in front of it? Plus or minus the square root . You got it? Is that a yes or a no? You what? Oh, we're not there yet. Are you on this one? Did you get this answer? Oh, thank heaven. Ugh. Okay, so good question. So first of all, I'm going to start with number 16. So look at number 16. Number 16 is your x. It's g of x. So 4 is the x value. So in the g chart, I want to look in the x column. So my answer is 2. So starting with number 14, in g of 4, this is your x. So in the g, 4 is 2. Now, f of 2, that is your x. So in the f column, 2 becomes 1. That's the output I want. So try number 15 and see what you get for 15. We'll see if we get the same. I'm about to get there. So what? You need to write in 17 because there's one like this on the test. Yeah. So what's the difference between 16 and 17? So 4 is your x. This time 2 is your what? This is your y, and it wants to know what is the x. So in the f chart, I look down the y's, 2, so what's my x? 5. Now, Mrs. Archer, no problem. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, so first of all, we start inside. So g of 3 is what? G of 3 is 1. Then it says, so f inverse means that's not an x, it's a y, and I want the x. So f inverse of 1. So if I go down here, 1 is 2. Okay? So what happens on 19? What do you get for 19? 2. And what do we get for 20? 1. G, that's your y. Okay, so how many of you can see the difference between the two now? We're good with this. So we can substitute, we can switch the x and the y, and we can read the charts. Right? Because you're smart. So smart. Do you have a problem at the top? Well, this is your problem. Everybody write it down. No, we're not just skipping it. Well, that's okay. We're going to verify here. Write them down. Okay. So how do I verify if they're inverses? What do they have to equal when x, right? So the first one I'm going to do is f of g of x. So this is the one you were having a problem with. So I'm going to take the g of x and put a parenthesis here and then substitute it in for x in the f. So I'm going to get x minus 5 plus 5. And what does that equal? X. Now we're going to do it the other way. I'm going to put parentheses here and substitute it in here. So I get x plus 5 minus 5, and that equals x. If they're both x's, they're inverses. Okay, you do the next one. So for the next one, I'm going to put parentheses here and plug it in here. So what's half of 2? So I get x, and half of 2 is 1, and these cancel out, and I have x. So now I have to try it the other way and see if this is true. So 2 times a half is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. These cancel out. So these are inverses. So if I'm going to graph, the first one, the y-intercept is 1, up 1 over 2. And the second one, it's minus 2. It's up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Okay, so do y'all know how to do 24? Yes? Well, but you have the problem. Yeah, so you can do it. See if you get x and x. Did you get x and x? So once I get 3/2 x, is it ever going to equal x? Nope. So they're not inverses. Okay. First of all, do not skip this problem on the test because there's words. That's number one. If you turn it in and you don't do it, I'm giving it back to you and you're going to sit there till you figure it out. So if you don't like the word problems, listen up to as I explain this. So you work 40 hours a week at an electronics store. You receive a $220 weekly salary plus a 3% commission on sales over $5,000. Assume you sell enough this week to get the commission. Given the functions f and g, find f of g of x. So all of those words, what's the question asking you to do? Yeah, like you don't even have to read the stupid equation to do it. It's really just a plug-in, f of g. Put parentheses around here and plug it in here. Is 0.03 times 5,150? Somebody double check me. Yes? Okay. So that's the answer. Do not skip these problems because of the words. Okay, so the last one though, listen, because this is one, it's a little bit different. And I think the next, do you have two of them or one? Is it this one? Okay. Well, we'll do 27 together then, and then you can do 26 and see if you get it right. So this is going to look exactly like 26. Again, the words. Don't leave it blank. An electronics store is offering an in-store rebate of $30 and a 15% discount on a tablet that normally sells for $300. Which provides a better price for the customer or consumer? Taking the discount before the rebate or taking the rebate first and then the discount? Okay, so first of all, how much does the, all right, so the tablet sells for $300. And what I want to know is which way it works better for you. Does it work better to take the discount and then the rebate, or the rebate and then the discount? Okay? So, I know this is hard, but you're going to have to use your little pea brains for just a minute. I just want to know, if I'm taking 15% off the price, right? How much am I going to pay? If I take 15% off, okay, so the full price is 100%, right? If you take off 15%, how much is left to pay? Use your handy-dandy calculators or your phones. Thank you. 85. So there's 85% to pay. So put 85% as a decimal. What do you think? You guys are going to fail. You're going to fail. What's 85% as a decimal? Which way do I move the decimals on there? 2.85, right? Holy moly, you act like I'm pulling teeth. So, if I'm going to take the discount first, I'm going to take the 300 times the 0.85. Okay. One more time. If you pay 100%, but I'm taking 15% off, 100 minus 15, so I made it into a decimal. Did you just ignore me while I was doing this? If I put it in cheer form, would that help? Like 5, 6, 7, 8, up 2, 3, minus 15. Would that help? All right. Okay, so it's 85%, right? We got 85%. So I'm going to take 300 times 85.85. And what do you get? And then we have to subtract off the rebate. Come on, Nia, what is it?
22.5.
What is it? 22.5? Oh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now I want to do it the other way. I want to start with the 300 and subtract the rebate. Nia, take 300 minus 30. And how much do I have to pay of the 270? So take 270 times 0.85. What do you get for an answer?
229.5.
So which way is the better deal? Discount first, then the rebate. Real math. Okay, all of you try number 26. While I talk with my favorite counselor. It works exactly the same way as what we just did.
Okay, so I made this poor girl suffer through all these classes when all she needed was makeup time. That's okay. She did it. She doesn't know the difference. But she got 3B,
Uh-huh.
but I think she took 3A. Is that what that says? Is this you? Is T?
T is me, yeah. Okay, let's look
so
in.
Can she go in and do the makeup time for 3A
Yes.
since we've already done this?
Yes.
Okay. And then for US
Because this was no credit for attendance, right?
Right.
Yes.
So then she got B, and then, but it says she finished B today.
She did.
So we gave her credit for B when she finished A, right?
I think you had her take both.
Yeah, she took both, but we've already given her credit for B.
Oh, let me.
You see
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's look.
I'm just saying, like, when you put in your report.
But that's okay, because you know what? We can fix this.
Okay.
This is